This is podcast 4 of Leadership Unscripted. My name is Robin Landry. I'm an operations leader. And today we're going to talk about your leadership team and did you step into a team that was underperforming, or perhaps you got them to this state. Let's talk a little bit about that. Really you have two different types of leaders within your team. Perhaps you're an operations leader and you've got a number of managers or supervisors managing different departments, materials, production, inventory. You've got two different types of leaders. You've got the underperforming leader, who is primarily what we need to deal with, and you've got the performing leader, the one who's self-sustaining and self-sufficient. Some of the notes I have here, when you talk about the self-sufficient leader, you talk about someone who does not procrastinate. That, for myself, that is the most annoying thing to come across, is your own leader who continually procrastinates on the tasks they have. Could be tasks on they have to get certain jobs done, or they said they were going to do things and they just didn't accomplish them. Procrastination causes significant issues with the team that they're managing. So it's really important that you have a leader that doesn't procrastinate. So again, the self-sufficient leader doesn't procrastinate, follows through on issues. They come across a quality issue. They're already looking at the issue. They're trying to resolve it, trying to put in preventative actions and corrective actions to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. They're looking forward. They're updating documents and everything else to make sure that that issue doesn't happen again. That is a self-sufficient leader. Not only, so they're preventing, they're recovering the issues. They're driving performance in their team. So you're not having to go and micromanage them to have their team perform better. Just like you shouldn't have to be micromanaged to make your team better. Those self-sufficient leaders are looking at the performance, the efficiencies, how much scrap, quality issues those teams are creating or their employees are creating, and they're looking at what are the common themes. Is it one employee? They're looking to make that employee perhaps a better performer, or addressing it through an alternative means, and they're analyzing the results of their team's performance. Again, efficiencies, quality, and continuous improvement. So that's the self-sufficient leader, the one who's driving performance in your team. I hope everybody has a few of those people on their team, because it just makes it a lot easier. Now let's talk about the underperforming leader. Needs reminders. So if you have an underperforming leader, you probably have the same situation going on. You're constantly having to remind that person to do things, and that's just really draining. Only does what's minimum, in terms of what's needed, does the minimum, the bare minimum, just to get by, because they're annoyed that you constantly have to remind them. So they've learned to do the bare minimum. Does not analyze their team's performance. So unless you're asking them or forcing them to do it, they're not analyzing their team's performance. And generally speaking, they've probably been in their position for quite a while and they've become comfortable in their role. And either you've allowed them to get to the point where they're comfortable in the role, or you stepped into a position with a leader who's already comfortable in the role because of the past manager not holding them accountable or not switching them out when they should have been switched out. A couple of things we need to also think about when we have underperforming people, underperforming leaders. Possibly if it's a shorter term underperformance or something that seems off with that employee, could be they have a family issue. Perhaps there's health issues in their family, or other temporary type family matters that they're dealing with. So that's something to be really aware of, because you don't want to start putting a lot of pressure on somebody that's going through a temporary situation in their life. So it's good to really understand if that's happening. If you're sure of it, that's not happening, then it's likely more of a personality issue with that employee, and they're just a procrastinator, and they're comfortable with the role. They're not really interested in doing much more. One of the issues is you're getting paid by the owner or the corporation or the board of directors or whomever to run the business at a high performance level, because somebody who's underperforming, you're throwing other people's money out the door. So it's really critical that you're managing these underperforming leaders, because they're managing teams. Maybe they have a team of 20 people. And if they're all working at 50% efficiency, that's a lot of money you're throwing out every year. One thing to consider, business is not a charity. It requires performance. Now, another thing to consider is how do you go about exiting an underperformer? One thing in my past, dealing with some of these situations and exiting underperformers, the first thing I would really make sure is have a sit down, multiple sit downs with that employee, and try to make sure that they really understand their expectations clearly. You can even document those expectations, have them sign off, or meet weekly with them on those particular expectations and show them how they're performing every week against them, and see if that helps get them back, jumpstart them, get them back on track. So reviewing the expectations. As well, if that's not working, ask if the role is what they really want to be doing. Are they really willing to perform in that role? And is it something that they really want to do? Maybe there's something else in the company that they're more interested to, but they were just put in this position. So perhaps there might be an opportunity where you can move this person over to another position, bring somebody in, and you fix two issues. You've brought in somebody who's going to perform better, and you've also put this person in a position where they're probably going to perform better in their new position. So that's another thing to consider when you're exiting an underperformer, aside from just terminating them. So when you think about it, leaders, yourself as a leader, you have a big impact on the cost of the business. And if you're allowing underperforming leaders to run departments in your business, and you're not holding them accountable, or you're not switching them out to bring in somebody more performing, you're not doing your due diligence as a leader yourself. So as we discussed, it's really critical when you're looking at your leadership team, are there any that are underperforming, and really starting to focus in on them to bring them to a level or switch them out. As always, I do have many years of experience in operations and in different industries, and I'm always willing to listen to what issues you have going on, and if you need some advice, just check my channel and send me an email, and we can get in more discussion about the specific issues you're having. You can also leave some comments in the video, and I'll try to reply back to those. And please subscribe and like to this video, and that's going to help drive some more viewers to the video, and ultimately allow me to provide some of my advice. Everybody has different advice, but I can provide some of the advice that I have from my experience. Thank you.